Hello, good morning, and welcome to today's live. Today, we're going to be talking about storytelling and how to get those cards and tell that profound story in those cards, and how to really give actionable advice with these cards to your clients that come to you for help and for guidance with the tarot. Now, last week, of course, we talked about how to build those connections with the cards to get your own interpretations for each card using your memories of your life experiences, and how profound those connections can be when it comes to connecting with any card in the deck. Now, before I get into today's training, I want to know how many of you took the time to really go through the deck this past week and to make those connections and to connect those memories and experiences with the cards. Just type in the comment section if you have, and which cards. I'm really curious as to which cards were really stood out to you, and what memories that you used during that process of memorizing those cards. And I'll give you a few seconds here to get those going. Now, while you're typing that, I want you to think about some cards in a typical deck. Now, which cards would you like me to demonstrate for you? Now, in order for this to really, in order for me to really show you how to do this like on the fly, no matter what card you pull, I want you guys to tell me the cards that you want me to use when it comes to today's event. So put in the comments which cards. Now I want one major arcana and one card from each of the minor arcana suits. So like one pentacle card, one cups card, one swords card, and one wands card, and of course one major arcana. And go ahead and type that in there. And if I don't see any comments, I'll just randomly draw here until I can find. Let's start with the major arcana. So I'm just going to draw until I find. Okay, now I have the hanging man here. So we're going to start with the hanging man. Now, a story that I can tell about the hanging man. Now, the base of the meaning for the hanged man or hanging man, whichever you want to say it, is either to take a pause or to look at things from a different perspective. Now, there are a lot of different circumstances in my life that I can really put into this card. Now, one of these is um, when I was trying to find the answer to something. Let's just say I was trying to find the answer in, how to really deal with, um, let's say, my ex-boyfriend in the situation that I was in with that. Now, how can I, do I need to make that decision now on what to do, or should I really look at it differently? Should I look at it as, what's he feeling? What is he going through? Um, how did, what did I do possibly that could cause this serious rift? Those are some of the things that I had to look at when I was looking and dealing with this situation. Now, I also had to think to myself, do I just take a step back away from this relationship? Should I just walk away right now and kind of put things on hold and think about what I really wanted? Now, in both of those instances, which I did both at the same time, I thought about that other person. I thought about him and the entire situation, and tried to look at things from the way he was looking at them. And I also took some time out to myself to think about what I really wanted out of this situation. And a lot of times when you step back away from the situation, and this is the guidance part of reading a card. Now, think about what you did in that situation, which I just told you, which both parts I did. Now, what was the outcome? And that's what you're going to want to give to your client. What did you do? What was the finality of that, of those actions that you took? Well, I gave it time. I moved away. I let him do what he needed to do. I did what I needed to do, and I concentrated on what I wanted. And in that aspect, I came to that realization that, the relationship was not good for either one of us. We both were concentrating on two different things. We were concentrating, he was concentrating on college, he was concentrating on what he needed to do, and I was concentrating on my job and what I needed to do and what made me happy. And neither one of those things were coinciding. They weren't going in the same direction. So it wasn't something that could be corrected at that point in time. So what happened with this and what my guidance would be to my client is to take that time. Take that time to, look at things from that aspect or from that other person's aspect, and also take the time for yourself and to concentrate on yourself and what makes you happy and see if the two come together. Now, with that instance, as you can see, that gave that higher level guidance, that gave complete instruction on what you suggest that client to do. It's not just saying what that card means. It's not predicting what may happen in the future. It is giving absolute guidance. It is giving that client true facts from your past, from your stories, from your situations, and what you did in your life, and what the true outcome was, and how they should really look at the situation and which directions that they should take. So that really allows your client to think of things in an actionable way, not just to think of things in the overall view, but what actions can they take right now to really take that first step towards solving whatever problem they are dealing with. And for each of these other cards, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to tell you that story, and then I'm going to tell you, what I did and what it was that I had to do and what the total outcome was, and then the advice that I would give to a client. Hi, Tony. Now, Tony, can you pick a card? One of the minor arcana. I just did the major arcana. Pick any of the minor arcana that you would like me to tell that story about. I'm seeing that Tony is in the UK. It might not come across real quick here in the comments, but I'll give it a few minutes. And if it doesn't come through, then I'll just, again, I'll draw until I find a minor. Okay, now all I'm getting is majors. Okay, I got the Nine of Pentacles. So we'll go with the Nine of Pentacles. Now, what does the Nine of Pentacles, what is that base mean? I'll do the Seven of Swords next, Tony. Go ahead and pick a Wands and a Cups. Now, the Nine of Pentacles is, after you get done with working really hard, and you have finally completed a major obstacle, or you have done something big and it was successful, And it's that kind of pat on the back. It's that, a job well done. And that was probably about a minute and a half. But it the Nine of Pentacles is that kind of well deserved praise to yourself. So, what I can accumulate to that is the finalization of that Transformation Academy course that I just got done making and is available now. Now, that is something that I worked really hard at. It took a lot of energy and a lot of thought, a lot of creativity, and it's something that I am really proud of. It's something that I think will help uh, many, many people in the future. So that is that aspect of that card. Now, that is the energy of that card. Now, when I see this coming up in a reading, it to me tells me that this person that I'm doing a reading for has reached that aspect, has reached that point. So now what do? They're getting all of what they have wished for. They have completed that process, and they can take a break if they want. But what have I done since I completed, that course? I didn't just stop. I didn't just, sit back and hope that people would see that and kind of like stumble on it and then join my program. No, I'm going live in my group. I'm taking the steps to market to different people. I'm bringing people into the group on a daily basis. I'm talking face to face with people about the academy and what is all back there. So my advice to somebody when this would come up in a reading would be to for them to think about what the next steps are. What is it next that they need to do in order to prosper even more from all of that hard work? You have all of those things written down, you have all the steps, that was covered in the Seven of Pentacles, and when you get to the Nine of Pentacles, it's now what? What's next? What is it that is really driving this success? And how can I make it that much more when it comes to what I've already done? How do I prosper more from it? What is it that you can do? Who can you talk to? What resources, so far as people marketing, that kind of thing, that you can do in order to bring in even more. Okay, now Tony said the Seven of Swords. So I'm going to look for that card so I can show you guys that card. And I know why you said that card, Tony. I mean, we were just talking about that card in class. If I can find it here, I know it's here somewhere. Probably the last one in the deck. Oh, there it is. Okay, the Seven of Swords. Now, this is a card that comes up a lot, and it typically comes up when we're talking about relationships or even work, when it comes to career opportunities. Now, this can mean a few things. Now, when I look at this card, I see again that situation with the ex, the situation where the lies, that were being told to me, I could point them out, and the more I called him out on it, the more he flipped that around and made everything that he was doing my fault. It's that narcissistic personality kind of energy when it comes to this Seven of Swords. It's somebody that is lying or cheating or hiding information, doing anything like that, and then turning around and saying that, what they're doing isn't, or what they are doing is actually what you are doing. It's that turning everything around and pushing it out and trying to make you out to be the bad guy. That's what I see when I look at that 7 of Swords card. And the what I did in that situation, number one, I called him out on his lies. I called him out on that cheating aspect. I called him out on everything that he was doing, even the flipping, everything around on me. I called him out on that as well. You cannot project, uh, like I told him, you can't project what, your faults out on me because they're not mine, they're yours. And that is what that instance is with that 7 of Swords. It is that lying, it is that narcissistic personality, it is that cheating aspect. And when this comes up, I tell my client every single time, call them out on their nonsense. You know who this person is, they're lying, what lies they're telling, so call them out on that nonsense. That's the only way to deal with that type of person. Now, this can also mean somebody that is stealing from you. And again, the advice that I give somebody when it comes to somebody that is actually stealing from them, it is to again call them out on it. You know that they took it. They know they took it. Call them out on it, because a lot of times when people are like this, they are cowards. It's they once they're called out on it, if it, they get angry and they get defensive, and you're on the right track. And they point themselves out. They allow themselves to be drawn into that. Okay, now Tony said the 8 of Cups. And then the 5 of Wands. Okay, so I'll look for both of those real quick. 8 of Cups. Eight of Cups and 5 of Wands. I think I passed it. All right. 8 of Cups. They all seem to be hidden right at the bottom. Okay, there's the 8 of Cups. I think the 5 of Wands, I passed that one. I think. So I'll grab these other ones. While I'm looking at that, I'll talk about the 8 of Cups. Now, the 8 of Cups, there's the 5 of Wands. The 8 of Cups energy is one of leaving, and it's one of walking away because those relationships just are not serving you. They're not. It's not a relationship that is really kind of like not serving your best interest and not serving theirs as well. Kind of like, again, going back to that same relationship issue. The Cups cards do represent relationships. They also represent emotion, and they represent that the communication aspect. Maybe when it comes to these relationships that need to be kind of distanced from and moved away from, it's there is not that equal conversation. It's not a relationship that is going to work out. It's something that really needs to be left behind, even if you have to leave in the middle of the night, kind of like ghosting somebody. As you can see, in this card, it's nighttime. He's moving on, and he's doing it in the middle of the night. And sometimes there are instances when you have to do that. There are instances where you have to ghost somebody because it's just they get to the point where it does more harm to you to keep them around than it does to leave. So yes, of course the pain is going to be there when you leave that situation or leave that relationship. But looking forward, there are better relationships in the future. You know, you see there's four cups down, four cups up. So there are relationships, there are people that still love you that you're going to keep in your life. You know, like your family and your regular friends. But if this has to do with a romantic relationship, it is one that is telling you it is time to move on. And when it is talking about this, it may mean that you do have to just cut it off. You have to, remove them, especially nowadays when we have social media. Social media can be a real downfall when it comes to cutting off a relationship because there's so many aspects. They're connected to you in so many ways that you have to make sure that you go through and you disconnect from every single way. And a lot of times that is the best information and the best solution to this type of problems when it comes to the Eight of Cups coming up that in a reading. And I have given that advice to one of my friends in the past. You know, he was going through a difficult relationship, and it was, there was just too much there that was causing way too many issues for him in his life to make it worth the effort to carry on with that relationship. And it was time to just cut it off. And he went through, he blocked this person on all social media, blocked them, told them to not text, not call, ever. And that was the best solution. And sometimes, things worked out great for him. And a lot of times that's the only advice that can be given when it comes to this card right there. There is no turning back. You know, as you can see, this person has turned their back on the people that these represent people. He has turned his back on the people that are in the cups that are fallen over. And that's the way that card reads, and that's that energy of that card, because the best thing for you to do is to move on. And that would be the advice that I would give a client with that card, and bringing in both of those relationships. My old relationship and my friend's relationship both ended in the same way. Both, had to be done in almost the same way, just completely cutting off. And the last card I want to talk about today is that Five of Wands card. Now, this Five of Wands, fives are tough. Fives are that midpoint. Fives are where most of the issues come up. And when it comes to the Five of Wands card, this card represents confrontation with other people. And it can also mean confrontation or issues in something that you're trying to do. And a lot of times it is with, something you're passionate about. Maybe it's another person you're passionate about. Like you are, just starting out on a relationship with somebody. You're starting to really have feelings for this person, but then you have your friends that are putting, saying some not so pleasant things, to you about this other person. They don't agree that this person is good for you and what have you. So there's those disagreements. That issue has come up in my life as well. And when it refers to a career situation, it could mean that there are other people at work that are maybe talking behind your back and trying to create drama in the workplace, trying to cause problems. Maybe you're getting a little bit too much attention and you're doing too well in your job, and they've been there for a while and haven't had any praise whatsoever. So there's that confrontation there. Whatever it is, whatever kind of confrontation that you can think of, this card can relate to. Of course, it has to do with other people, not just yourself. There is a communication aspect to this that needs to be worked out. There's a strategy when it comes to dealing with other people. And a lot of times it means that you just have to stand up for your beliefs, your passions, and the people in your life that you care about. And, do, of course, your due diligence and do your research and fact find. If somebody's telling you that somebody did, that you were involved with romantically is doing something they should not be doing, definitely do a little bit of fact finding. But if you find out that that person is not telling you the truth, then maybe you need to take another look at that Eight of Cups and see if that person that was lying to you is really worth keeping around. And if they're going to constantly cause problems with your relationship. So there's a couple of different aspects that you can look at when it comes to this card. So depending on the situation, I would recommend to my client, given all of those instances that I can remember in my life with people causing problems just to cause problems, I would say to really do a little bit of fact finding. Look at things for yourself. Stand up for those that you love, of course, and that are pivotal to your life, but really look at the entire situation. And maybe there was just simple miscommunication between people, and look at things from that aspect and see if there's a little bit of tactful communication that you can do in order to, set things straight, maybe make the peace. But there is always that aspect when it comes to that Five of Wands of confrontation, as you can see in the card itself. Now, at this point, I hope you can see how you can take those those messages and those instances in your life that you have connected to these cards and really tell those stories. Tell those stories about what happened to you in each of these instances. And of course, you can go more in depth when you get into a tarot reading itself with a client. Those stories do get drawn out because you start to remember. And of course, when you have the combinations there, you bring in even more information about that instance and about that situation that you were in. Like I just did with these two cards. I said bring in that Eight of Cups, and maybe that person that was lying to you needs to go. So if that was to land on top of that Five of Wands, that is the exact information that I would tell them, to really think about those people that are around them and causing conflict with this whole scenario, and decide which people are beneficial, which people are not, and really make that decision when it comes to that card combination. You're welcome, Tony. Now, I wanted to let everybody know that myself and my students have now opened up the Passageway, the Tarot Transformation Passageway program. Now, what that is that we use tarot readings, a series of tarot readings, in order to help you to solve the major problems. And how we do that with the Passageway is to break those problems down into the underlying issues that are causing those main problems, and helping you solve those underlying issues one at a time in order to solve that huge problem. And now this can be with anything that you guys are dealing with, whether it be career, relationships, life path, transformation in general, life guidance in general, or if you just want to have a reading once a month with us. We are taking on clients for that right now, and the link to that is in the description, as well as if you would like to learn more about the Tarot Transformation Academy and how we can help you with my course. And of course, it's be my students, and everybody works together, my students and myself, to help you to become a professional tarot reader and learn to do these things yourself. That link for that application is above as well. And those are all face-to-face Zoom conversations that we would like to have with you if you are interested in either one of those programs. And with that being said, I will see you guys next week in the live. Look forward to that, because I am going to show you how to have absolute complete confidence in your tarot readings. And I will see you next Monday.